This episode is sponsored, so we are giving away a copy. We're going to look at the game Son of a Gun, Glen, which is an old school, completely top-down shooter that reminds me of an arcade classic, the Chaos Engine, or Alien Breed.
Yeah, Alien Breed was the one that sprung to mind for me when I first saw this, and as you rightly say, it's got that top-down, high-intensity shooting action going on, and yeah, we'll talk you through exactly what it's all about. So what is Son of a Gun, you son of a gun? Let's find out.
You'll enjoy this, Glen. You are son of a gun.
I'm a son of a gun, am I?
Yeah.
Charming.
Interplanetary mercenary working for the Son of a Gun organisation. And there are 6 different ones to choose from. Think the Expendables sent to other planets, I think.
The Expendables meets Aliens.
Exactly right. That'd be a good film.
I don't like the Expendables.
No.
I just rather watch Aliens.
It's a terrible film.
Yeah.
But the storyline isn't the main meat here, as you'd expect. It's all about that arcade-style gameplay. The first thing that did remind me of those classic games are the way that levels are structured. You've got your main planet, and then it's broken down into sub-stages. So you'll be on like level 1-1, level 1-2. You start out usually with a simplistic objective, like trying to find all the keys, open up a door, or it might just be to defeat all of the aliens. And they come in a few different varieties. Some of them do look a bit like fried eggs.
They do.
And you have a load of different weapons that you can pick up. Now, the enjoyment really comes from playing with all the different weapons, trying them out, but you can also modify them slightly. So as you can see, they all have statistics. If you pick up one that you don't want, you can sell it, and I'll talk about where you use that currency in a minute. But it's very much an action game of old, so it's just trying to keep the enemies at bay, often strafing to the left and right, moving backwards. You can go into interiors of buildings as well, and it's reasonably difficult at times.
Yeah, I mentioned Alien Breed earlier, and I would say that's kind of the biggest influence I get from playing it, but it also reminded me a little bit, going further back than that, of something like Gauntlet, because you do have to pick things like keys up along the way, and obviously you get that moment where as you're trying to find those items before you can move on to the next stage here, floor as it was then, you kind of get inundated with enemies and you have to shoot your way out. But yeah, Alien Breed is definitely one that springs more to mind, but with the twin stick shooting mechanic that we would expect from games these days.
The stages themselves are relatively small, though you will find various pathways through them. Sometimes you'll also find hidden areas that usually contain more rare weapons. I don't know if I mentioned this, but they do have a rarity system for those, and that's marked by different colours and also the sale price of them. There are 7 different classes of weapon that you can use: pistols, shotguns, SMGs, rifles, plasma rifles, sniper rifles, and, wait for it, Glen, your favourite, the rocket launcher.
Nice, yeah. I do like a rocket launcher in game.
You'll be controlling your character with the left stick and your weapon with the right stick in classic twin stick style. And there's also a time bending mechanic whereby you can slow time down to make combat more easy. And when you combine this with the mechanic of being able to kick barrels and use them tactically, it makes those more tricky sections a little bit more enjoyable. Aside from using weapons, you can also shoot destructible items or then cause a big explosion. And as well as the 3 weapons that you can carry, and you can switch between those using the bumper buttons, you've also got 2 grenades that can be switched between, and various pickups that you'll need to shoot to gain the contents of. And those planets have different environmental hazards, things like spikes on the ground. There are turrets that pop up as well. And you'll eventually reach the end area boss, which come in a few different flavours. Often these will have various weak spots that need to be destroyed before you can do damage to the centre. And at the end of each stage, you'll also be able to take any money that you've earned or acquired and put it into either permanent attribute upgrades, i.e. meta progression that you'd have in other games, or you can actually buy ammunition for your weapons, which annoyingly I thought was upgrading the guns for half of the game. I was like, yeah, I'm upgrading these weapons each and every time. And then I read the small print.
You turn up to a boss with a water gun.
Yeah, well, it's full of water though.
But a knife.
The game follows that format, getting progressively more challenging, throws more things at you, but it is that old school high score chasing arcade game that we all enjoyed back in the day.
Let's move on to visuals and performance then, and in terms of the visuals, we mentioned obviously it's top down. It does go for more of a hand-drawn style as opposed to the pixel style that you would have seen back in the day, and as Mark mentioned, there are a number of different biomes, each with their own theme.
You do obviously have those 20 different enemies and the 7 different weapon types, so you've got a bit of visual variety there.
As you just said, there's a number of different enemy types, some quite obscure, but I did feel that some try to tap into things like The Thing, you know, the movie The Thing, had that body horror aspect to them, which was quite pleasing, certainly when you destroyed them and left them as a bloody mess on the floor.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, there's a good amount of gore here. When you destroy that giant sea slug looking thing, its face blows off and its entrails just like pour out of its backside.
What a charming image. Thanks for that. Gonna have me lunch now.
Now on to that performance a little further. There are certain visual effects that do cause slowdown. Things like the grenades and the shotgun at the moment are causing a few issues. And I've spoken with the devs, they've already made a patch that fixes it, and as is very often the case, we are waiting for good old Nintendo to release that.
In terms of the audio then, in my opinion at least, it's definitely gone for the Doom route. You know, we had Alien Breed, we got Aliens as a movie. I think Doom is perhaps another inspiration, certainly on the audio front, with a heavy metal soundtrack.
We're definitely not metalheads ourselves, and can certainly see how it could add to the adrenaline when you're defeating those aliens. Yeah, this one releases today. It retails at £8.99 or your regional equivalent, and it's a 2.7 gigabyte download, although there's a chance that'll go up slightly when the patch is released, and there's at least 8 different planets and 8 boss fights to work through. Alright, so if this one tickles your fancy, I'll make sure there's links down in the description so you can go check it out for yourself. Once again, a thank you to Untold Tales who have sponsored this episode. If you would like to win a copy of it, maybe let us know your favourite game from either back in the day or a more modern one in this style, and we'll just reply to one of the comments giving a copy away. Personally, I've enjoyed playing this more simplistic arcade style action game. It has really made me want to play Chaos Engine again, but it's a classic no-nonsense experience, this one. I just enjoyed it. I will also make sure that I revisit this one when that patch comes out, which shouldn't be long after launch, honestly, so I'll make sure it has a slot in my all patched up episode. While it runs fine, if you use those shotguns you will see a bit of a performance drop there. Let me know if you're interested in this one. As I say, thanks to the publisher for sponsoring it, and as always, for all things Switch all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya!